guys, Marmalade here for Q&A number 15. And if you're wondering where I am, and I'm sorry if the lighting's not great, I am actually on the PCT camping and thought, hey, you know what? I'm hiking and backpacking and camping. I might as well do a video. So it's kind of like I'm on a remote shoot. So I thought I'd give it more realistic kind of feel. I apologize if the light is bad. It's about 3:45. It gets dark about 4:30. So we'll try to get this going quick. And hopefully you can see me okay and hear me okay. So let's get started. Okay, so my first question is from Michelle Oglesby Flores. She had asked me, she was curious actually if at this time of year there's still rattlesnakes out here in the desert on the trail. It rained yesterday, so it's pretty damp out here. The desert does dry pretty fast because it's mostly sandy, of course. But there are still rattlesnakes out here. They're not as prevalent as when it's hot, but I would think actually when it gets colder like this, when it's warm on the trail, they go out into the trail. They like the sun on the trail, so you just have to be watchful. But not as much as the summer, but there are some out here. They tend to not hibernate the whole winter, so yeah, there are. Okay, so question number 2 is from Scott Graffelman. My question is about tents. For the diverse weather conditions, what tent or tents did you use? Did you change tents when you got into the Sierras to deal with the snowfall and avoiding freezing condensation and temperatures and the cold weather? So Scott, thank you for the question. I'm not sure, you probably didn't watch my whole through hike, but I did not make it into the Sierras because of El Nino this year. There was too much snow. I started from the Mexico border on March 26th, got to Canadian Meadows, which is the end of the desert and start of the Sierras, too early for a normal year. A normal year, you want to start the Sierras June 1st to June 15th. The snow, when I got in on May 16th into Canadian Meadows, was at a 202 percentile, so double a normal snow year. So if you do end up watching my through hiking videos, I stopped there, took about a 5-week break, and then went up to Seattle and ended up going up to the Canadian border and started southbounding, and then I eventually got hurt and had to get off trail. But, oh hi. Hi. Yeah, we found a dog out here in the middle of nowhere. I used the Tiger Wall UL2. It's by Big Agnes. And it was excellent in the desert. Very lightweight, freestanding, so it had poles. It was a little more weight than some of the light tents, but I really liked it. It has a lot of clearance when I'm getting up in the morning and changing, sitting up. But I found out soon when I got to Washington and it rained, it was horrible for me in the rain. It soaked through the bottom, through the top, through the sides. Hi. So I'm convinced 2 things. I'm going to go to a Cuban fiber tent, probably a Z-Pax duplex, but I'm still testing out. I'm testing the duplex tonight. But some kind of Cuban fiber, it's great in the rain. Also very light, very compact. If you have an unlimited amount of money, I'm almost convinced you need multiple tents if you had them for different sections. Like the desert, you don't need, if you go early like I did, there is more rain sometimes, but I didn't hit a lot of rain. But it's a little warmer temperatures. I think, like you said, for the Sierras in Washington, places where it rains a lot, I would go Cuban fiber, so a different kind of tent. So I did find out, I feel, and it's my own personal feeling, but I don't feel there's one tent for the whole trail. Most people have one tent and make it work, but it's kind of not, doesn't work in certain situations, but in some it does. So it's all personal taste. So there, like I said, not one tent does the trick. Okay, question number 3 is from a guy named Cameron Lawrence. Oh, that's my son. Good to get a question from you, Cam. Says, what's something scary or frightening that happened to you on trail that you didn't think of or realize was a very big deal until you got off trail or thought about it later? So I was telling my son, that's a good question. I had to think about it. I would say there's a few places in the trail where the trail is really sketchy, including where I eventually got hurt, but there's places where the trail's washed out, or you've got to go through over rocks and logs, or river cross through rivers and things like that. It can be dangerous. For me, it was, I thought about it later, was when I did my biggest day, a 27-mile day to Stehekin, and we're sitting there for about 45 minutes waiting for a bus. And as soon as I came down out of the mountains and onto the trail, I was sitting there with other people, about 10 of us, waiting for the bus. Coming down the trail right behind me, maybe 4 or 5 minutes behind me, down the trail was a big black bear. And I have it on video.
Come on, get out of here. Yeah, that's right.
He's not going far.
He's kind of big.
He is big. That was a bad throw.
Thanks for the photo.
He's kind of coming back. He's kind of curling around.
Yeah.
What I was told later, the other hikers, was about a quarter-mile back on the trail, I walked right by it. Like, he literally, and I'm super observant. It's what I'm looking for besides the trail condition is just animals and things like that, things that are dangerous. And supposedly he was right here on the side of the trail, and I walked right by him. And he just looked at me, and I didn't see him. So, but what was scary about it later was that, I'm not sure if I have a clip of the video, if I showed it here, but he was not scared of us, and that's dangerous. He's probably looking for food and hungry, but we tried to scare him off, and we had a really hard time scaring him off. He was not scared, and that actually ends up sometimes costing their lives, because when they're scared of humans and they get shoot off, they're okay, but once they've tasted like regular food and they're not hunting for food and they're digging in garbage and digging in people's packs and things like that, sometimes they have to relocate them or even put them down, because now they're not scared of humans and they become pests. And thanks for that question. Love you, Cam. The next question is from Terry Savini. She had asked me, how do I keep things organized in my backpack? Do you use Diddy bags, Ziplocs, packing cubes, things like that? Did you use a waterproof compression sack for your sleeping stuff? So I'll try to show you some pictures here of what I have, but basically, and I'm going to change it, so I haven't got experience, and there's no right or wrong to this, so this is my personal experience. But I had a custom Cuban fiber bag made for my quilt. I also had one, I actually bought a Z-Packs one for all my sleep clothes and town clothes, things like that. My theory was, you know, you want everything dry, but if you can keep your quilt dry in bad weather, and your clothing, you can get warm even if you're wet and cold at night. So I wanted to make sure those were. But I ended up being too organized. I had Cuban fiber, I ended up having like 8 or 10 Cuban fiber bags made for everything. I still have them. So one's for my electronics, one's for my first aid kit, for a bunch of other stuff. So I just decided that, and also my food bag, which you need. But I'm gonna go, except for my food bag and probably my clothing and my quilt bag, those are gonna be Cuban fiber. I'm going to just Ziploc bags. I want to save the weight. All my bags probably weigh, they're not heavy and they're very durable and waterproof, but altogether they're well over a pound. And I'm thinking, why do Ziplocs are waterproof. If they wear out or tear, you just get another one. They're cheap and they don't take up a lot of space. So you know, I originally got the Diddy bags to the Cuban fibers Diddy bags, also different colors, so I could just easily find out, oh, the first aid's right here, or the clothing's here. So that's part of the reason why I did those two. So I'm going to be going to Ziplocs for the most part. Lighter, easier, easy to replace, and cheap. All right, so our last question is from Mike Tommy. How far in advance do you send resupply boxes to a destination? That is, there's not one set answer, but I will say, you know, like I happen to live in San Diego, so Southern California, so I'm close to the trail. But I would say this is a kind of a tough question to answer, because there are very, very remote places on trail where the packages don't even initially go to the post office, let's say in a small town. You come into a trail town, it'll come down the mountain a half hour. That's where the packages are, and some guy's got to actually get in his truck and go down there and get them. So there are places like that, and then there's just, a lot of the places are remote and hard to get to, so the packages take a long time. So I would give yourself, if you're in the United States, I would give yourself like 2 to 3 weeks of when you want this package to arrive. Send it 2 to 3 weeks before that. You don't want to send them too early. If you use Yogi's Guide, they tell you at each stop that you decide wherever you're going to decide to send resupply boxes, but some only hold it for a month. So you don't want to send it 2 or 3 months ahead and just let it sit there, because they won't hold it for very long. They'll get rid of it or whatever. I don't know what they do with it. But so you want to try to time it where it takes 2 to 3 weeks at the worst to get from the States to one of the locations, and then make sure you're allowing only a week or two probably when the hiker's going to get there. If it goes all the way to 3 or 4 weeks, then you're still safe. But some places only hold it a month, some hold it the whole summer. Once you decide on your resupply places that you're going to send a box to, you can call and verify the addresses are correct, and also their when they're open, but mainly how long they hold packages once they get it. I think that's worth calling the 10 to 20 spots to make sure. So yeah, I hope that helps. All right, guys, that about does it for this Q&A, number 15. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was on the PCT, so I hope you enjoyed that. I don't even know if you can see me because it's getting dark, but I hope you enjoyed it, and it was educational, motivational, and inspirational. And again, please subscribe. I'm building my channel now, and you know, we're going to be getting back on the trail this summer. But subscribe, like, if you're on Facebook, share it. It'll help other hikers with knowledge. And as I've said before, I have a Patreon account if you'd like to help support me and help me do more of these videos and more adventures and better equipment and gear and cameras, things like that. You can go to my Patreon site at patreon.com and look for me at Mike Marmalade Lawrence. And you can donate as little as $1 a month, and it helps me. And every single dollar I'm going to get is going to go towards something that I'll be carrying on the trail or using. So it won't be wasted, and it's much appreciated. But if not, appreciate you watching the videos. And until next time, see you down the trail.